As a firefighter, just like any other public safety officer, whether it's police or working in the ambulance, you have to manage risk so that it's on your mind all the time. And that tends to wear on you, and it tends to make life difficult because you bring that risk management home, and instead of just walking down the street with your kids, you tell them to stand back from the corner 20 feet, so if a car cuts a corner they don't get clipped, or hey, don't do this because I saw it happen to someone at a fire before. So it's hard to not bring that home. But at work, we constantly manage risk, whether it's driving to a call. That tends to be a dangerous part of our job. Cardiovascular risk. For us, heart attack is a big killer of public safety members because if I'm at the station, it's nighttime. I just got done eating dinner. I'm pretty relaxed and hanging out with the guys, and we're talking. And then the next minute, I might be at a fire where I'm working at 180% of my normal output, my normal cardiac output. So your body has to be fit and ready to do the job. The risk that we see at calls where very few firefighters die from actual fire or smoke. There is a certain percentage, but that's small. Most of what firefighters die from in public safety members is either cardiovascular, like we were talking about, not being in shape and not being able to do the job, or mental. More firefighters and police officers die of suicide than any other leading cause that's out there. And the difficult part of that is that it's not something that's spoken about or talked about. So the fire service in the last few years has done a good job of bringing that out in the open and talking openly about it. Because the things that we see and the things that we do on our job affects us mentally, and it takes a toll over time. And a lot of us use alcohol or drugs or things like that to cope with that. And so what we've, as a fire service as a whole, to try to manage that risk is to talk about it. You need to talk about tough things that you see or do in your life in order to get over them. That's not easy. For me personally, that's been a struggle for me. I don't like to talk about it. I like to compartmentalize it and put it away for some other day, but it affects you. It builds up over time. It's something that you just can't get rid of. Whether it's nightmares or inability to deal with your family at home on your days off, inability to get along with other people or see compassion. Those things are lost as you see more and more trauma and more bad things happen in life. So for us, managing the risk of mental fitness, as we call it, is a big one now. It's probably the most important. When the fires broke out, I was actually, of course, gone hunting in Northern California, and with a friend of mine from town here, a couple friends actually. And because of where we're at, we didn't get cell coverage. So it wasn't until about 5 o'clock in the morning of the fires, that we were driving up to the top of the mountain, and our phone got into cell service, and all of a sudden it was just ding, 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 ding. It was going crazy, and then the phone rang, and it was my wife. I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up? What's going on? Sounds like there's a fire." And she told me how bad it was, and my buddy who works for CHP, same thing. He was getting the same phone call, and I was like, "Well, man, it sounds really bad at home. We better go." So by the time I got home Monday, everything was in shambles in town. My family was worried about packing up because of the fire close by here in Geyserville and in Cloverdale. And so it was important for me to make sure that I got my family settled, got them packed, make sure that they were squared away with directions on where to go if they had to evacuate and what to do, and then drove into work. And I work in Coffee Park. That's where my fire station is. So driving in there to see, just all these homes in a regular city just gone. Not just like on fire, but gone, nothing left, just chimneys and foundations. Was hard to see, and the fire had actually come pretty close to our station. It got very close. You could see where the fire was stopped from the backyard of our station. And I couldn't get a hold of anyone. There was still fire all over the place. There were still people being rescued. There was a utility, an SUV in our back parking lot. I didn't know whose it was, but it said there was a fire on it. Someone had left it during the middle of a firefight and moved on somewhere else. The keys were in it, so I just threw my gear in it and my helmet and my clothes, and I went to work. And I just started going from house to house that was on fire, or the Hilton was on fire. I ended up there for a while, directing some crews, just as much as I could do at that point. I kind of took a leadership role because our crews were pretty smoked. They'd been fighting fire for 10 to 12 hours. And did the best I could to try to coordinate the crews and request more resources. And it was, like I said, my wife, when she called me on the phone while we were hunting, said, "This is the worst you've ever seen. You'll never see any worse than this." And I kind of believed her, but there was some skepticism in my mind. I was like, okay, all right, but we've been together so long. She knows the business. She knows how it goes. But I wasn't prepared for what I saw when I got there. And some of the things that our crews did that night when the fire was coming into town were just surely phenomenal. They are truly heroes. They are truly heroes for what they did. I can't even count the number of people that I talked to who lost their homes that said there was a firefighter that banged on my door and got me out. Otherwise, I would have been trapped. Or they were dragging people down the streets. Literally lady fell and broke her leg, couldn't go, and someone left her in the middle of the street. And our crew, one of the guys that I work with every day, picked her up and drug her to his car and got her in and took her out. So just truly heroic. So it was tough to see, how beat down they were when I got there. So I took more of a leadership role and just started directing them, trying to get them relief as best I could, and still continue to fight the fire because, like I said, we were still losing homes all over in Fountain Grove and Hidden Valley and Mark West, and then worked from Monday until Saturday straight, no break, no nothing, just went for it until I finally got to the point where physically I just said, hey, my buddy, actually, we were in the middle of just kind of switching gears on this fire it had pushed us out of. We ended up out in Oakmont on the east side of Santa Rosa, and we got pushed out by some fire that just took off on us. And he's like, "Hey, you don't look so good." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't feel so good." And he's like, "Oh, when was the last time you slept?" Probably a couple days ago, maybe. I got a couple hours of sleep. And he's like, "Have you been off at all since the fire started?" I said, "No." And he's like, "All right, you got to go. Go home." So I went home for a day, tried to get some sleep and some food, hang out with the family a little bit, and then came back into work, and then worked one on, one off for the next 2.5 weeks till basically Halloween, till the fire was out. So some of the techniques that we learned was really trying to stay ahead of the fire and make notifications and get people out. Even though many people perished in Paradise, many more people survived because of trying to get the warning out early. As firefighters, we had been trained in the past to try to attack the fire and not necessarily worry about people's involvement, because most of the time these fires are out in the middle of nowhere. So you might have 1 or 2 homes scattered out amongst where the fire is at. They have plenty of time to evacuate. But now that we're seeing larger, more aggressive fires intermixed in the urban interface or very populated areas, it's a transition that we had to make, was giving up on fighting fire and going to strictly just rescue. And that was difficult for our crews in Santa Rosa and in Sonoma, but it was, even though mentally it was difficult, it was highly effective. It's just getting the people out. And afterward, it's easy to say, well, we could have saved more homes if we did this or that, but the trade-off was if we had battled the fire more, we would have lost more lives. And so in Paradise, I know alone where we deployed, we quickly went to every single home that we could get to within a couple minutes of where we were actually being deployed, and made sure that all those people were out of there, because the fire was coming, and it was coming real fast. So that was our priority. I told my crews, don't do anything, check the homes, make sure the people are gone, and there were still people there, and we got them out. They left. We were able to then focus on firefighting, and we saved a bunch of homes in the subdivision as well, we were able to do both, which was nice. So, and talking to some of the CAL FIRE crews that were in Paradise, literally that first hour when it started burning into Paradise, they gave up and they didn't use any water. They strictly just get people out. You can rebuild a home, you can pay, you can pay to move, you can do whatever, but a life is impossible to replace. So they were highly effective at just giving up on fighting fire and just doing evacuations.
Hi, I'm Grace Gloeckner.
Hi, I'm Faith Holloman.
Hi, my name is David Nunez.
Hi, I'm Joshua Adams.
Hi, my name is Christopher Lopez.